Gaming Bolt presents 15 things you should know before you buy Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 3. Dawn of War 3 is finally approaching, and with it comes the return of large-scale warfare to the Dawn of War franchise. It's been years since these games featured massive battles and super heavy units, and players may be hesitant to dive in as the game embarks on its newest iteration. To help players decide if Dawn of War 3 is for them, we've compiled a list of 15 things you should know before you buy Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 3. The pre-order bonuses are skins. Pre-ordering Dawn of War 3 will grant you custom skins for the Imperial Knight, the Wraith Knight, and the Morkanaut. Thankfully, no gameplay-related content has been gated off by their pre-order bonuses, so you needn't be worried about players who pre-order gaining any sort of competitive advantage. It was nice to see Relic offering a small bonus for pre-orders rather than keeping any units or modes locked behind the pre-order wall. The return of large-scale warfare. Dawn of War 3 will return to the series' roots as a large-scale RTS, but it isn't shedding the squad-based combat of Dawn of War 2 in its entirety. While the game will focus on massed armies, heroes, and specialized elite units will provide a taste of the tactical squad-based combat that Dawn of War 2 focused on. The result will be a balanced game that features both great spectacles and tactical gameplay. Dawn of War 3 will feature 3 factions on release. At launch, Dawn of War 3 will feature the Space Marines, the Eldar, and the Orcs. When asked why they didn't add more races to the game, the devs stated that they wanted to focus on a small pool in order to make the best product possible, but that they would love to add all the factions of the Warhammer 40k universe over time. Past Dawn of War games have seen massive expansion over the course of their life cycles, so patient players can likely look forward to their favorite factions working their way into the sequel. For now though, we'll have to be content with the base 3. All 3 factions will be featured in the campaign. Rather than give us 3 separate campaigns for each faction, or limit the campaign to a single faction, Dawn of War 3 will feature all 3. In the Warhammer 40k setting, there are no good guys, and there's no better way to express this than to show every faction what they're fighting for, and why they're willing to slaughter worlds to get it. We're looking forward to seeing what the campaign has in store for these troubled combatants. Elite units will have special abilities and require micromanagement. While Dawn of War 3 will focus on large-scale action, specialized elite units will bolster your forces. These units will be pre-selected at the start of the match and draw from a different resource pool than your line units. Some will give you a bonus in the early game, letting you push out and control the map fast, while others will grant you massive power in the game's later stages. Each of these units will have a number of abilities, and benefit from active micromanagement to remain effective on the battlefield. The return of Army Painter. Previous Dawn of War games have featured army painters that allow players to customize their armies for multiplayer, a nod to the game's tabletop inspiration, where players paint their own armies in the colors they desire. Dawn of War 3 will be no different, and players will have the option to paint their armies to match their own tabletop armies, or to invent new factions to fight in the grand wars of the 41st millennium. Doctrines will apply buffs throughout the game. When players select their elite units, they will also choose their army doctrines. Doctrines are buffs to certain units that will last throughout the game. Players can choose these buffs around their battle plan, trying to make their early game units stronger or making their late game heavies truly insurmountable. Doctrines add one more level of strategic thought to Dawn of War, and it will be interesting to watch as a meta develops around them. The game will have a progression system. Dawn of War 3 will feature a multiplayer progression system that unlocks doctrines, cosmetics, and elite units. This should give players some incentive to return to multiplayer even after they've grown comfortable with the mechanics, and allow them to feel like each play session has achieved something. It'll also mean that new players are eased into the game's mechanics without having to select a doctrine from a massive list. Instead, you'll be able to learn which ones you like as you go and develop your strategies as you gain familiarity with the game. Skulls are a resource. Dawn of War 3 will have another progression system where players earn skulls by playing the game. Skulls are the principal currency of the 41st millennium, and you'll use them to buy the elite units that you'll then use to swing the tide of battle in your favor. Dawn of War 3 is about spectacle, not balance. While the game is designed to be functionally balanced, Dawn of War 3 wasn't designed as a competitor for the esports scene. The game is instead designed to provide players with fun gameplay and awesome visuals. With laser-like precision of unit movement, it's nice to see a developer that isn't jumping in on the esports craze and who just wants to make a fun game. Devs have stated that if the game picks up an esports following, they'll support it, but the game was designed as a game first. Its focus is giant robots and orcs smashing each other. Rock, paper, scissors is a design philosophy. Units in Dawn of War 3 are designed around a rock, paper, scissors philosophy, meaning that units are specialists in dealing with specific enemy units. If you realize your enemy is massing one type of unit, they can be countered by a strong unit in your own army, but be wary to building too many of one type, as doing so will leave you vulnerable to your enemy's own counters. Hopefully, this system will lead to games feeling dynamic, perhaps with a static opening, followed by counterplay as the match progresses. There's only one multiplayer mode. Dawn of War 3 will only launch with one mode. Keeping in line with the choice to only include 3 factions at launch, Relic wanted to ensure that the experience they delivered was immaculate. In order to do so, the game is launching with just one expertly crafted mode. The game may feature more modes in the future, depending on the community response and popular support for the game. Control points will feature gradually increasing yields. Capturing a control point early on in a match won't necessarily net you much, but as time goes on, the yield of that point will gradually increase. That means that even for players struggling with resource management will have access to the game's biggest units as the game comes to a close. The final stages are guaranteed to feature massive engagements, leaning in on the game's commitment to spectacle over pixel-perfect competitive gameplay. Games are not a deathmatch. As stated before, Dawn of War 3 will launch with only one multiplayer game mode, though it will feature variable team sizes. This mode draws inspiration from MOBA designs and features a shield generator, turret, and core as each team's target, while capture points act as the income source for each team. This means that flat-out destroying your enemy is not the game's objective, and armies are instead fighting for key positions on the map. Super Heavies will have variants. At present, it appears that super heavy units like the Imperial Knight and the Morkanaut will have both a ranged variant and a close combat one. We don't yet know if you'll be able to select both as 2 of your 3 elite unit choices, but you will at least have the option to obliterate your enemies from a safe distance or to cut a bloody swath through them. That'll be it for this video. If you like what we're doing, please go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.